I don't mind trying again to explain what happened. I'm making some tea. Will Zobram said to me at Tyler Art School, whenever I was there, what would you think of a scheme to transform the human race by injecting the blood? And then he ran the AIDS war game on Mount Desert Island, which was clocked to two virgins pussy ball and a script over Midori Goto, trafficking, conquering, whatever you want to call it. She was the Helen of Troy of the script. I put this up as evidence. I mean, it's a preserved copy of some of the handwritten script. That's what Zell was saying. That's what led me to examine those old letters. It was like my first grade autograph book stuff. Any questions? What else is there to know? I don't think there's very much of anything else to know. I mean, sit down with tape, maybe no more than 1 minute and 20, 30 seconds. I can make this a GIF, it's so short. Go ahead and think. Maybe you have a question pop into my head. What would your logical question be? Who was Will Zell Brown? What was he doing on Mount Desert Island at Tyler Art School? Did he have contact with people who tortured me? Do you know Nikki DeBarno? I don't know. What else is there to know? He admitted to the whole thing. It's not like they tried to hide it. What else is there to know? Oh, yes, I hitchhiked to St. Louis to hear Robert Fripp play from Pittsburgh once. Doubled back through Philadelphia and came to Pittsburgh again. It was a free concert in Streetside Records in St. Louis. What's that got? Well, they were both in the Gurdjieff Cluck. Gurdjieff was a collaborationist from the Vichy France who came from Stalin's Russia on some sort of Mysterian mission. Well, Pennsylvania had tortured somebody. I mean, they tortured me even more. I have Parkinson's and I'm getting migraines from it. I mean, I'm not going to be a very happy sight in 6 months. I'm stiff everywhere. It's awful. They never taught me sign language. I mean, the girl who broke the union hush hush about not teaching me sign language was attacked and raped by the cult. The cluck was all they called it feedback loop because her name was Chinny and she was set up in a fable guerrilla theater. Chinny Chin Chin, the stripe on Lenin's Chinny Chin Chin and how I won the war. How Veronica Lake throws the tie after wrapping around that guy's neck, throws it up over his chin. She was a neighbor of Leslie Katz, whose virginity I insulted in parody of Frank Zappa. I gave her the devil's tongue lashing. Israel cats from Australia. She was kangaroo girl, kangaroo Jewish girl, kangaroo colored. Fripp's sister said, "Oh yeah, Jimmy Curry. He's the one who hitchhiked to St. Louis out of obsession." Take a gentleman's gesture and make it better. Boy, those people full of hate. There's nothing more pernicious than the hatred of a rockster. What's that got to do with anything else? They had told a story. They kidnapped me and tortured me. They had an Attica State Prison psychiatrist who told his son to take me to the incredible two-headed transplant. And the punchline of the incredible two-headed transplant is, now I've got to teach this moron how to walk. That's Bush and Elon Musk getting hold of Ryland Clary's little boy in the Eastminster district, beating his brains and kicking him in the head, gassing him, torturing him, using him for horrible, perverted ends, and trauma, absolutely terror-stricken. I mean, his family remembers him as being very fearful, biting his fingernails bloody, hiding in the towel closet and stuff. No, you can't get a single UW administrator to admit that having people doing that in a child's proximal development will render them confused and obedient. They told me I couldn't go to school. It's freezing cold. Freezing cold. Wandering the streets because I was afraid they would find me, and they did. They said, "Get in the car." And the Parker brothers and Pittsburgh police said, "Oh, see, he got in the car. That means he's an accomplice to a stolen car." And that's the History Museum's forte, is to play the stories that way. So why did the obsessive hitchhike to St. Louis? To escape the stolen car. Did he escape the stolen car? Of course not. So I am to blame that Will Zellbrome was involved in the HIV business. Its origin, authorship, and processing. That's my fault. And then once they start reading between the lines and connecting the dots, I mean, you should see Fetterman's tail wagging at Donald Trump, because Donald Trump says, "Yeah, anything you say goes, Fetterman." Vince Irene, he runs to Martin Sheen. Martin Sheen, he's one of those LA billionaires from Hollywood, breaking people's balls in movies. Apocalypse Now. Vince Irene says he represents the low and downtrodden. What a joke! What's Martin Sheen got to do with any of this? Mr. Rogers and I had a couple pleasant exchanges. He went to the same church. My mother was married at that church. Once they start scribbling between the lines and connecting the dots, they say that I led them to gospel. Let me explain the letter that was to Podvar Kojiki. I told people that Monty Casper, I had tried the famous line, the one they hypertrophy. They say if this isn't true, then you're lying about everything. Was I tried to be nice to them after they beat my brains in to try to convince them that that was not the way to go about cultivating a good neighbor relationship. Bought them a VW to try to convince them to stop stealing cars. And they beat my brains and got me disturbingly toxed and said, show us how to hotwire. We taught you on the VW you bought us. So then you have the story of the stolen Beetle. It's all guerrilla theater. It was clearly mapped out by members of Congress. And I was not going to get away from it. They were using me in a subconscious state. I was 13. They have these 15-year-old girls with IUDs coming and chasing me up a tree and laughing at me. You're not a man, because you won't come down out of the tree, and strip naked for me. Literally. This really happened. And Patricia Fripp comes and says, that proves I was abusing her. And, yeah, and Fetterman and Irene come and scribble between the lines. Because it is something of a disingenuous thing to say that I tried to be their friend. We tried to skedaddle is what happened. I tried to calm them down so I could get the hell away from them. But because they were stalking me at that point, they locked me from the house from the inside. I decided to try to get help from Podsworth, but I didn't know if I could trust them. Turned out I either killed myself or saved my life that day. I'll never know. But I got a call from Zell when AIDS was happening. They had me stationed at the medical library. And I was indeed very suspicious of what was going on. I did not know about it. And hair. People say that my leather coat doesn't suit me, the fringe leather coat. You know, Jimmy's trying to be rail. He's trying to wear Clydeburger's suede. Well, hair did not suit me, and neither did The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, is the point. But they send a partner of the Attica State Prison psychiatrist to put on this show, who's an attorney for Yoko Ono and Hair, and Peter Gabriel. And she can't make up her mind. She speaks with forked tongue. They talk about a fork in the road. They have a side pea with four prong. They lanced my pecker as a child. Very sophisticated crime movement. And she said, you know, it doesn't suit me. She can't make up her mind. It doesn't suit me or doesn't suit me. Oh, you're a neurobedient copycat of everything. I'm supposed to mourn these horrible people when they pass away at an old age that they made sure I will never see. Wilsell spoke as reported. That's the most important thing that came out of any of it. He said, what would you think of a scheme to transform the human race by injecting the blood? When I knew him at Tyler Art School, when he ran the war game on Mount Desert Island. What else is there? You get the history people who scribble between the lines, connect the dots. What is there to connect or scribble? It's perfectly clear what that means, where that happened, and how it's proven. I mean, we're now up to 15 minutes. That's more reasonable. I got that established within under less than 2 minutes.